What do you do when you cross the road? You look both ways, right? You go to the beach, you need to check it out before you go out. One of the reasons why so many people get in trouble in rips is because they actually look like the safest place to swim. They look nice and clear and calm. People ask me all the time, what does it feel like to be caught in a rip? It doesn't feel like anything, because you're just going with the flow. And you don't notice anything until you look back and the beach is way back there. If you look closely, there's waves breaking there, and that means it's shallow. Where there's not so many waves breaking there, which means it's deeper and it could be a rip. You want to solve a problem. So there's some phenomenon going out, you know, do rips go straight out or do they go in circles? That's interesting. But how do you know that for sure until you actually start measuring these things, and then you need equipment, and being out in the field for 2 or 3, 4 weeks at a beach is fun as well. But also it's communicating that knowledge, and I like teaching. I like teaching it to my students and seeing them get interested in the topic. The Science of the Surf is a program that I started 10 years ago, and it started off as a presentation to people about how beaches work, about how waves work, and how rips work. And then I do a release of purple dye into the rip. About 4 years ago, a lot of the local councils started sponsoring me to give talks as part of their summer program, so every year I do about 10 to 15 talks. I'm a coastal geomorphologist. That's essentially what I am, and geomorphologists study the processes and the forms of the earth, and I just happen to focus on the coast. There's coastal geomorphologists around the world studying beaches, beach erosion, cliffs, cliff erosion, estuaries, estuary management. We're certainly around. There's more of us than people might think. I wanted to work outside because I like the outdoors, and I was interested in mountains. But then I went on holiday one year to Bermuda, thought these waves were great, and at the same time I had a lecturer who was teaching me about coastal processes. I thought I wouldn't mind doing that, and I went up to him and asked him if he hired students to work in the summer as research, and he did. He hired me as a scuba diver, and we used to do these beach experiments every year in Canada. It was great. That's how I got into it. I loved it. I did my master's degree in Toronto, University of Toronto, and the beaches we were working in, the water was about 8 degrees Celsius. When I finished, I took a year off backpacking and I headed straight for Sydney. I ended up meeting up with some people at Sydney University. They had a coastal studies unit there. Got to know them, helped out some PhDs in their field work up in Queensland and Yeppoon, and I ended up coming back doing my PhD on rips at Sydney. These days there's a lot of environmental consultancies. Every council in Australia at some point will have to do a coastal management plan or a coastal hazards plan or an estuary management plan. Anytime there's a coastal development, you've got to do impact assessments. There's plenty of work out there in the coastal field. I mean, we're such a coastal nation. I don't know, I've had this talk with a lot of people. Is it the role of scientists to directly educate the general public? And probably not. It's probably not our responsibility. I mean, we're there to do the science. You know, we publish these results, and I think it's up to the beach safety practitioners, the lifeguards, the lifesavers to say, okay, here's these results, how can we use them? But also to contact us and say, look, we need information about this particular aspect of the problem. Can you help us? I'm a bit unusual in that I connect directly to the public because scientists are busy. I mean, we have jobs, and our job is to do the science, and it's very, very time consuming. I've been lecturing for a long time, and that seems to be what I'm good at, is speaking to people. But I can't do it all the time. And this stuff isn't hard, and you just get somebody who's enthusiastic who can talk well, and I think you start training them up. We're going to be measuring these rip currents that are stuck up against headlands. We think they flow a bit differently. That's quite interesting. If we want to design the perfect rip education strategy, we really need to talk to people who've been stuck in rips. Where are you from? Why did you swim there? When did you notice you were in trouble? What did you think about doing? Did you feel any sensations? How did you get out of the rip? Did you panic? Why did you panic? What were you thinking about? There's not a lot of dedicated funding given to coastal scientists in Australia. It's very competitive and very hard, and there's these pots of money that are very, very hard to get. There's only so much you can do. It ultimately comes down to funding. You can have all the scientists you want, but if they haven't got money, they can't buy the equipment, they can't do the experiments. You know, for years I've been jumping in rips and putting in dye, and sometimes they go in circles. And I've been getting the impression that most of the time they went in circles. And then you say that to people and they go, nah, they don't do that. But then these guys built these drifters, attached GPS, chucked them in the rips, and they just went in circles. So we tried it at Bondi and they just went in circles. But every now and then, one spits out the back. And that's interesting. What makes every now and then the rip just go? Part of the problem in measuring rips is that it's hard. You need to put instruments in the water. Well, rips flow pretty fast. It's hard to get the instrument in, it's hard to get the instrument out. They're challenging environments, and we love that.